You are in the Temple of the Rants, where I rant about whatever my $15 a month plus patrons want me to rant about. You can get one of these by being one of those. This one's for Michael Edwards, who says, rant about the average quality of anime from Japan versus anime/anime inspired animation from other countries like America or China. Now, it's interesting. I think that if we're talking about raw production quality, Japan might be the lowest ranked out of those three currently. And I think that's pretty much just a matter of population density. Japan is not a very big country, and a lot of anime is created. Well, most anime is created just with the expectation that it's going to be broadcast to a Japanese audience. And a lot of it is not expected to be mainstream. It's not being made for everyone to enjoy. It's being made for the particular sect of animation fans who happen to exist there and who are able to propagate the medium through the culture of buying absorbently expensive, Blu-rays and products, tie-ins and stuff like that. So usually there's not really a lot of money being traded around in it. It's people are making it because they're passionate about it, fans are consuming it because they're passionate about it, they're spending a lot of money on it, and that's how it can continue existing. But that's not the usual model for TV, for broadcast media, which is usually being aimed at the widest possible audience. And there's not really that same kind of culture of buying habits in America where you have these hardcore fans who are propping up their favorite shows by buying this extremely expensive shit. There are hardcore fans in America, but they don't tend to be of that nature. So usually, if something's being made for American television, it's trying to be more broadly accessible, and as such, there are bigger budgets, bigger teams. The people are better paid, but there's not a rich amount of super niche media. So, like, when an anime-influenced show comes out in America, like, say, Avatar The Last Airbender, it's not usually influenced by the super hardcore anime. It's influenced by the more broadly appealing stuff, like, say, Dragon Ball Z or Sailor Moon or something. Steven Universe, for instance, pays homage to a lot of those bigger shows. But, like, the shows are, themselves also trying for that kind of broad appeal. And as such, even if there might be higher quality animation than the average Japanese anime, it's not going to appeal to those niche crowds that most of those anime are being made for. I think China's kind of going in a similar direction where, Japanese anime is even bigger in China than it is in America, and it's becoming China's becoming a big part of the anime market. But as they make their own shows, likewise, they are either making stuff that's more broadly focused on a Chinese audience, or stuff that is in homage to the most popular genres of Japanese stuff that comes out in Japan. So the production quality of Chinese stuff has been all over the place, but if you look at a show like Modao Zushi, for instance, it blows any other TV anime that came out last year pretty much out of the water. But yeah, I think that if we're talking about quality in terms of how it appeals to people, like someone like me who appreciates anime because I like the otaku-oriented stuff, the mindset of it, the culture surrounding it. I don't get that out of anime-inspired American shows. So when I watch something like Avatar, while I might appreciate it as a great show, it doesn't give me any of those kinds of feelings of relatability or the deeper, otaku-oriented themes that I might get out of the kind of shows I do watch. So, what do you consider quality to be? Are we talking about production? Are we talking about niche appeal? I would like to see more niche appealing shows come out of countries like America. I think it's a shame that we don't have that culture of supporting stuff. And there are certain studios who've tried to sort of break that mold. I think of like Cartoon Hangover, where it was people who were trying to just make something more independent, more niche. But even then, the niche it appeals to is not the anime fan niche. It's more like the Tumblr core kind of crowd, people who grew up on shows like Adventure Time and want more of that vein. I do think like Adult Swim has produced some very niche stuff, but it's not anime inspired at all. It'd be interesting to see if a truly like otaku show came out of America, like that was aimed at that niche audience. Like, could it happen? Would there be something that felt like anime? That I like. I can't think of any examples of that. So, like, for me, I'm going to say the highest quality anime comes from Japan, land of anime as I understand it. But if we're talking about, does Avatar look better than the average anime? Yeah. But at the same time, I don't think that there's been a lot of shows that have nailed the aesthetic in the same way, where I think that the cachet of influences tends to be smaller. Like, there are a few anime that are hugely influential in the West that always get referenced back to. There's tons of Dragon Ball reference. There's tons of Fooly Cooly reference just because it was such a big inspiration. I think a lot of animators in the West. You see more and more people influenced by guys like Imaishi. I think someone like, God, I can't remember the name of that one black dude who Nino's a big fan of, who did work, who's like worked with Japanese producers. The stuff he works on is more anime like, has more of that soul in it. LeSean Thomas, that's his name. That guy, I think, maybe gets a little bit more of the otaku soul into his stuff. And of course, animators from around the world who go to work on anime. Someone like, what's his name? The Austrian dude. You know who I'm talking about. If you know what I'm talking about, if you would give a shit. So yeah, like I think that it would be cool to see if maybe even like that. But I don't think though that if we made the kind of niche otaku content in the West, that it would get the budget of those broadly appealing anime influenced shows. It would just be like a Japanese anime. And when that day comes, maybe I'll consider that to be high quality as well. Who knows?